Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. My name is Daniel Caw. I'm delighted to be joined all the way from Dens Park by the one and only Scott McDonald. Scott McDermott.
Scott McDonald.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Apologies.
I'm a better player than Scott McDonald anyway.
I wouldn't doubt it. Keith Jackson has abandoned us. He's abandoned the hotline away on another holiday. Would you believe it? More holidays than Judith Chalmers.
Exactly. Scandalous behaviour.
With him away, Scott, I know you're obviously at the game today. I was working for Record Sport on the Celtic match, so I haven't really seen anything of the Rangers game. But from what I've heard, Mikey Moore was a standout.
He was certainly their best player, Daniel, and he was only on the pitch for like 66 minutes, but really impressive in the first half. And you probably know, I've been kind of talking Mikey Moore up in the last couple of weeks. I just think there's been a real improvement in him since Danny Rohl came in. Mm-hmm. He seems to have a bit more confidence, a bit more belief, and the key thing I think is a bit more freedom in this kind of system. When Russell Martin was in charge, it felt as if Mikey Moore was almost kind of chained to the touchline. No, he was just this pigeonholed as a kind of out-and-out winger, whereas I think in the last few weeks we've seen a different side to his game. You know, he's got real technical ability, so he can quite comfortably play infield. The last couple of games, obviously Danny Rohl's went with a kind of 3-4-2-1, and Mikey Moore has been playing in one of the positions just off the striker, and I'd say it's given him a bit more licence to roam. Today was different. You know, Danny Rohl went back to the four at the back. It was a kind of 4-2-3-1 with Mikey Moore playing off the right. But as I say, he wasn't just hugging the touchline. He was given a real freedom to come inside and play, and he showed that in the first half. His first goal was a brilliant finish. Comes in off the line. There's a couple of passes, the ball breaks for him, and he produces a brilliant finish. And he was unlucky not to get a second goal. He thought he'd get a second to make it 3-0. And I think it was ruled out for offside. There was a bit of confusion with the VAR. It looks as if Diomande was offside for the initial shot. So, no, he's certainly upped his game under Danny Rohl. I think you're seeing, he obviously came here with a big reputation to Rangers on loan. And I think he's starting to show that now. I think it was a difficult start for him. Just getting used to the environment. You know, huge club, obviously, still very young. And there was issues there, obviously, with the previous manager, which came to a head with Russell Martin going. But I hope for his sake and for Rangers' sake, he can go on a wee run now and really start to show what he's made of.
I mean, this is obviously still really early days in Danny Rohl's tenure. But you're starting to see a distinctive style of play. I know he's changed it, obviously, to the back three at times. But can you see that starting to evolve?
I think you're seeing wee signs of it. Certainly in the first half of the day, I thought the passing was a lot slicker. There was a lot more kind of short passes, a lot more kind of interchanging between players. He spoke after the game there about the second half the performance dipped a wee bit. He says there weren't enough triangles for passes. I think we saw a lot of that in the first half. Listen, I don't want to go over the top and say we're seeing a real distinct style of play. I think Danny Rohl has been quite sensible coming in and realising he has to have a kind of pragmatic approach. He just has to go and win games, especially in the league. And I think what he's shown, or how he's shown that, has been in his flexibility, as you say, with the formation. Clearly he thought going into the game today, going back to a back four would be best, when the back three had looked decent in the previous two league games. So he's proved he's adaptable, he's flexible. I remember speaking to Barry Bannon at the time he came in, and he said, obviously having worked with him at Sheffield Wednesday, that would be the big difference between Danny Rohl and Russell Martin, is that he would just do whatever it took to get victories, rather than just sticking to a style of play every single week. So I think he's done that. That's 3 league wins on the bounce now. I think his next 2 games in the league are Falkirk and Livingston and Ibrox, which are obviously very winnable. So there's the potential there for Rangers to put a wee run together, albeit results have been tough in Europe, and they've obviously suffered at Hampden last week in the League Cup semi. But I think his first job, Danny Rohl, was to get Rangers winning in the league again, and at the moment he's doing that. And obviously with Hearts dropping points again today, it just closes the gap again, and you're starting to think, it's still a long way off, but if they go on a wee run, could they get back in this title race? That has to be the aim for them.
You kind of stole my thunder there, Chrissy, in the comments. And if you're watching, get involved in the conversation, let us know your thoughts. Chrissy says Celtic and Rangers will be in front of Hearts for the middle of January at the very latest. And it does kind of feel like Rangers, it was like, well, they've had this disastrous season, worst Rangers team ever. They're only 5 points behind Celtic now. I mean, it's not quite as bad as it maybe first thought. Is that the right way to put it?
Listen, it's been a poor start. There's no getting away from that.
It's been really bad, guy.
But I think I said on here last week. I just think, from Danny Rohl's point of view, I know it sounds disrespectful to Hearts, and I promise it's no. But I just think, from an Old Firm point of view, you just need to look at Celtic. And as I say, for Danny Rohl to be only 5 points behind, given the start Rangers made to this season, I actually think as a result for him and a result for the club only to be 5 points behind. I think if Rangers just target Celtic and try and chip away at that 5 points, then you'll eventually get closer. But Hearts have done amazingly well at the start of the season, and I do think they've got a squad capable of putting up a kind of title challenge. But it's tough. It's tough for players that haven't been over the course before. The club hasn't been over the course before. And I think probably Hearts' result today will be a real blow to them. Dundee United are a decent side, but I suppose if you're going to really go and properly challenge for a title, those are the type of games that you'd expect to go and win. I think people accepted the draw at St Mirren, the last league game in the midweek, that it would actually be a decent point, tough place to go for Hearts. Maybe a game that they'd have lost previously, but home to Dundee United today, they'd expected to go and win, but they've dropped another couple of points. I think probably the international break comes at a good time for Hearts, just to reset and go again. They're still very much in the mix, and there's so many games to play between Hearts, Rangers and Celtic all at the top of the table. So it is very early days, but as I said, I think Rangers need to look at Celtic, 5 points. If they can start trying to claw that back, I think Celtic have got a couple of tough away games coming up. St Mirren and Hibs, where they might drop something. So, look, for Danny Rohl, it's small steps, one game at a time. They've got another clean sheet today, same as they did at Easter Road in the last League One. As I say, 2 winnable games coming up in the league. So, I think he'll be pretty pleased with how they're going at the moment.
In the comments, Rangers is OK says chance to win 5 straight league games with Livy and Falkirk next. Really like Rohl, and nice to have a manager that the fans are behind. Hope he gets money in January to buy his players and not Thelwell's. That brings me on to my last point on Rangers, Scott. I know that Miovski was preferred up front today to Chermiti. Did he do enough for you to cement his place as the first starter up front?
No, none of them did enough. I don't think any two of them are doing enough. That's probably there was a couple of negatives today, Daniel. I mean, look, they've won 3-0 away from home, got a clean sheet, so surely Rangers fans won't be complaining. The 2 slight negatives for me were the second half performance definitely dipped. Danny Rohl made 3 substitutions at half time, which was quite surprising, given that they were so comfortable in the first half and 2 goals up. I expected them just to go with the same 11 in the second half, go and try and get a third goal, but he said they wanted to try and inject a bit of energy and a bit of freshness into it for the second half. And for me, it didn't quite work. Connor Barron came on, Tello Asgard and Chermiti up front, and they just lost a bit of rhythm, I thought, for the first half. So that was probably a negative. And the second one, to go to your point, is the strikers. It's another game where the strikers haven't scored. I mean, like, Chermiti's obviously taken a lot of flack, and he came on in the second half again, did very little to endear himself to the supporters. But you also need to look at Miovski, because he's been brought in for big money as well. Unlike Chermiti, Miovski has got experience in the SPFL. He's a seasoned international. He's a lot older, a lot more experience. And I don't think Rangers are getting value for that outlay at the moment either. I think it was 2.5 million, potentially rising to 4.5. And he had 45 minutes today to impress and didn't really do it. So I'll be surprised if Danny Rohl doesn't want another attacker stroke striker in the January window. As you touched on, or as the caller touched on there, the real interesting thing will be how that recruitment works in January. Will Danny Rohl get licensed to go and bring some of his own players that he knows personally who he thinks can help Rangers, or is it the way it works now at Rangers with the recruitment department that Dan Purdy and Kevin Thelwell will ask Danny Rohl what he's looking for, and then they'll give him a list of their players, and they go and get some of them. Personally, I think that would be a mistake. I think at this juncture in the season, and at this juncture in Danny Rohl's tenure at Rangers, where he will know he needs 2, 3, 4 signings to come in and really hit the ground running, to come straight into this first team if they're going to seriously at least put an attempt in to challenge for the title. And I think just in terms of that, it's really important that Danny Rohl gets guys in that he knows and he can trust and he's got a real faith in. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, he said last week at his press conference that in the international break he was basically going to compile a kind of dossier for the club and hand it to the club during the break, and that will be his assessment of the squad since he's come in. How the club react to that, I think, is going to be really interesting come January, because you have to assume detailed within that will be players who he doesn't think have a future at Rangers, and also what's required in January for them to strengthen and, as I say, go and put in a genuine challenge for the title.
Before I let you go, Scott, I was wanting to get your take just very quickly on Celtic and Martin O'Neill. Obviously, they've won 4-0 today. But see, just before that, I wanted to ask you just about Dundee. I mean, Davey in the comments says Dundee died in the park today. They're now second bottom, a point off Livy. What did you think of their performance?
They weren't great. I mean, they actually started the game reasonably well for the first 5 minutes. You thought, oh, here we go, they're going to they fancy this again. Similar to the Celtic game here, obviously. But no, losing the first goal was crucial, Daniel. I mean, the simplicity of Rangers' first goal for the corner, Nico Raskin completely unmarked. I think it's Billy Kumetio who gets away from him in the box. That really set Dundee back, and obviously Rangers get a quick second, and it's game over. And I think the other big kind of story for the day, Dundee-wise, was Stephen Pressley's decision to leave Simon Murray on the bench. Club captain normally brings his A game to these kind of big occasions. Simon Murray thrives on going up against Dale for him and trying to upset him. I think if you're a Rangers centre back and you look at the team sheet and see Simon Murray's not on it, you just think brilliant.
Aye, definitely.
They went to the big boy Aqua up front today, maybe for a more physical presence. Like Stephen Pressley said, he wanted more of a focal point. It didn't really work for him, and eventually Simon Murray had to come off the bench, I think after about an hour, but the game was already gone. So I think that was a big aspect. I think they'd have been better starting Murray. They probably gave Rangers more of a problem. But look, in the second half there was a wee period where they kind of got on top of Rangers. As I say, I thought Rangers' performance dipped. And Dundee, for a wee spell, what you felt they were on top, and they probably had to score in that period to give themselves a chance. They didn't, and then obviously they lose one near the end to Gassama. So look, Stephen Pressley will be disappointed. I think that's 3 defeats in the spin. As you see, it leaves them second bottom. And similar to what I said about Hearts, probably the international break coming at a good time for them, just to reset, go again. Clark Robertson was missing the day as well. There's a big miss at the back for them. I think he'll be back after the international break, so it's probably coming at a good time for Dundee.
And as I say, just before I let you go, Scott, a lot of comments coming in on Celtic. Timmy says the champions are back in control now. 11 goals in 3 domestic games. What a job Martin O'Neill has done. This one as well from Thomas. He says, well done, Martin. Now let's get a permanent manager in. I just wanted to get your take, Scott. What is your gut feeling on Martin O'Neill? 270th game as Celtic manager today across these 2 spells. Will he be back after the international break?
I honestly don't know, Daniel. I mean, you're asking for my gut feeling. My gut feeling is he probably won't. I think Celtic will want to get a manager in the international break. I don't know what you think, but I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes. No, Martin O'Neill's doing a really good job, obviously. Domestically, you can't complain with what he's done since he came in. Obviously, the big win for them was at Hampden in the League Cup semi. They've got a fight. They've got a final to look forward to now. But I also think, the defeat in Midtjylland in midweek, maybe a week and a wake-up call, and just a wee reminder that Martin O'Neill clearly isn't the long-term answer for Celtic. Now, whether they think Sean Maloney's part of the long-term answer, that might well be the case. Sean Maloney might have a part to play, whoever comes in. But I just think, in terms of my gut feeling on Celtic, I think the hierarchy there will want to get a permanent manager in as soon as possible. A guy to come in, to hit the ground running, go and win the League Cup, the league. We'll try and get them going again in Europe. I just think the longer they leave it, the harder it gets. In a strange way. They're lucky to have someone of Martin O'Neill's calibre and experience to come in and fill the gap in the short term. And look, maybe we know if we're experienced with Rangers that these processes in terms of appointing a new manager can take a long time.
Yeah.
I think we touched on it a couple of weeks ago, but I think Gordon Strachan kind of hinted that the guy they want might not be available in December. That could be the case with a couple of managers. So maybe Martin O'Neill might need to stay a bit longer. But as I say, my gut feeling is that the hierarchy at the club, they know Martin O'Neill's not a long-term answer. They'll want to get a new guy in as soon as possible. But what you have to say is, for the new guy coming in, Martin O'Neill's done a great job, just giving them an injection of energy, almost like a boot up the backside to get them going again, domestically at least. And obviously they've clawed some points back on Hearts, and you'd expect Celtic to really start motoring after the break, whoever's in charge. But no, I think they'll want to get a new guy in as quickly as they can.
Marzuno in the comments says they should definitely get a manager in, but the silence is deafening. John says, forget Europe, keep Martin in for the rest of the season to keep pressure on Hearts and win the league. A new manager before that is a risk. I tend to agree with you, Scott. I think they kind of need a manager in ASAP, but who knows? Time will tell. Scott, I will let you go. I'll let you get up the road. I know it looks all nice and warm there, but I'd let you get away.
Waiting these floodlights going off. Another hotline disaster.
Another hotline disaster. No, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining us in the Hotline Live. Keith is off again tomorrow, so no doubt I'll be pestering you between now and then. Sorry for some minute.
I'll be turning my phone off tomorrow morning.
No worries. Safe travels up the road.
Brilliant. Cheers, Daniel.
Cheers, Scott. I think now we can actually see some reaction from today's game at Dens Park from both managers. Let's hear what they had to say.
In general, I'm happy. I think now 3 wins in a row in the league, 2 clean sheets away. I think it's my first big to score 3 goals. It's good, but of course, by the second half, we can speak about improvements. It's good that we have still space for improvements, but to take 9 points now from the last 3 games, it's nothing.
Talk to us about that first half, because you look really on the front foot, like you could score every time you go forward in that first half.
I think we spoke that we respect the opponent, that our expectation is still to win these games. I want to see a team who's hungry for wins and also to win in duels. And then I think in first half we feel really that we played with a lot of dynamic. I think that the mix between in behind and in front in the red zone was well. Then we scored early, that helps a lot. It gives confidence, and then I think we control the game. Then second half, I made 3 changes. For me, it was also important to bring again fresh energy in, give opportunities. I think my team is at the moment learning that I always use the full squad. And in the end, we make a fantastic 3-0. I'm very happy that Gas scored, but more important was the run from Jayden after 90 minutes, that he made this inverse run overlap, and it's the reason why the teammate is free. This I want to see more and more, and take this as a next step, not more, and we carry on.
Danny, we saw you at the end going to the fans. They're saying your name throughout the game. I mean, how important do you think that unity, the sense of unity is with fans? Because it has been a difficult season. There has been times when it's looked fractured.
I try always to have a good relationship with our fans. I think I'm respectful of them. They travel to everywhere. I want to see, and I see a lot of togetherness more and more again when I look back. Since I'm here now, I feel really everyone goes more and more in one direction, and it's good. I have a great support from my staff, from my coaches. My players are listening, and if we can bring this together with our fans and we have this togetherness in one direction, then I think we can building up something here.
How much closer do you feel you are to getting your best 11?
Well, I think this is a really good question. I think you come closer, you see more and more which players have the potential and which players has to improve. I think this is now, and I started yesterday in the evening to put all my notes together, what is strength, what is potential from players, what we have to improve. I think with just 11 players we will not win a lot of games. You need the full squad, and this is for me the reason why I want to, and I try to improve everyone. At the moment, I think we can speak about Mikey, for example. He makes a huge step. He scored today, but also other players growing up, and it goes in the right direction.
And is a centre forward something that you think this team's going to need? You know, a new.
Yeah, I think
come January.
Part I see good moments. I see things what we have to improve. At the moment, I have 3 players. I try to give them opportunities, I give them minutes, give them also belief. I always in talking with them. I want to show them what they have to improve. And if you're growing as a group, then you're also growing individual better and better.
There was a lot of aspects in the performance that I liked about us today. I liked their intensity, I liked their work ethic, I liked their energy. I thought we got into really good areas of the pitch. Our final moments, our final decisions can improve, no doubt about that. And I thought we started the game particularly well. But, you know, what's been a strength of ours in the first 10 games, in the last couple of games, it's been our Achilles heel a little bit in terms of losing the goal from the set play, and it's really disappointing because we worked exceptionally hard at that. But again, just the finer details around that we didn't quite get right, and it gave Rangers a lift, especially after the way we started.
Stephen Pressley and Danny Rohl there, following full time at Dens Park today. Before we wrap up, let's have a look back on some of or all of the results from the Premiership weekend. Falkirk and Livy playing out a 1-1 draw yesterday. Hibs with a big win at St Mirren there. And today, of course, Hearts 1, Dundee United 1, similar score at Pittodrie. And as you can see, Celtic 4-0, Rangers 3-0. And that leaves the league table like this. We can see that Celtic have now cut Hearts' lead at the top to 7 points, and they have a game in hand as well. Hibs behind there on 18 points, tied with Rangers, who also have only played 11 games and have a game in hand. Down at the bottom, you can see Dundee just a point ahead of Livy. St Mirren as well down there on 10 points. Kelly too. It's starting to really get really tight there down at the bottom. And goodness knows what's going to happen there. The one thing I do know is that as the season goes on, we'll have it all covered here for you on the Hotline Live. It's been a bit Rangers heavy tonight because we had Scott at Dens Park, but I can promise you this, there'll be plenty of coverage, fallout and reaction to all of the games in this weekend's Premiership tomorrow night when we're back again at 6 p.m. Hope you can join us then. Thank you so much for all the comments. And as I say, Keith Jackson has abandoned me. Some people say he's had more holidays than Judah Chalmers. That's not for me to say, but if you want to reach out to him, give him a bit of stick. That's totally fine. Hope you can join us tomorrow night at 6. Thanks for watching.